Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE Monday Night Raw on June 1st, 2015, and, this Raw was basically to set up the Money in the Bank special for, well, not this Sunday, but the next Sunday afterwards, and, in some areas I felt they did a relatively good job, and other areas I felt like they failed. Building the aspect behind Roman Reigns for the Money in the Bank ladder match, I feel like they did a really good job for it. Everyone else, not so much. They kind of just put them in matches with each other. I liked what they ended up doing with New Day and Dolph Ziggler and the Primetime Players a little bit later on, because it sets up for the New Day going up against the Primetime Players and a potential of that storyline to happen somewhere down the road for the tag titles. But otherwise, they didn't really do much in the terms of setting up the other competitors inside of the match, outside of putting them in matches with each other. The match with Sheamus and Randy Orton was kind of boring, honestly, until they got to the end spot where the disqualification was caused. That had something in there, but didn't really significant anything towards the Money in the Bank ladder match, and those two have never really worked all that good of matches before. They always come off boring for some odd reason. You got two guys who are pretty good in there, but they come off with boring matches when you put them together. It's kind of weird. And Neville, they just kind of continued on his thing with Bo Dallas in there, and that really didn't add much of anything in there. The only aspect to the Money in the Bank ladder match that worked was the Roman Reigns storyline, and the reason why I ended up liking it, outside the fact that they went with their stereotypical, let's have 3 matches for him to keep his spot inside of the Money in the Bank ladder match. Could they have just gone like, let's do 2 or do 4, do something other than 3, please, at some point in time. That's just, I guess, personal opinion. You've seen it so many times. You want to see something a little bit different. But the aspect that I did like about it was not only did they play the storylines like, oh, if Roman Reigns loses this match, he's out of the Money in the Bank ladder match, but the winner would get in. I like that little added significance towards it. It made it feel like that the person who was going up against Roman Reigns had something to fight for. It wasn't just a random guy that they were throwing out there. They were going to get rewarded if they were able to win. I like that aspect to the storyline. Obviously, they were going to keep Roman Reigns into the ladder match, but to add that little touch into the storyline, I felt was a really, really good idea, and it came off really well. Setting up the outside of that, like I said, I felt like they kind of missed the ball on the Money in the Bank ladder match. Otherwise, I didn't feel like they fully got it with everybody else, but they definitely worked well with Roman Reigns in there. The match with Nikki Bella and Paige, the promo backstage, short, quick, effective, set up the match for the night. Not too bad. Not a bad way of going. I wish they would, what's the word, come up with whether or not the Bellas are face or heel, and then when they decide to turn them, actually do something good with it. The first time where you had Brie turn, when you had Nikki turn on Brie, that was actually done really well, but when they had Brie turn back on, turn and go with Nikki back at Survivor Series, it made no sense at the time. When they went face, when Naomi went heel, made no sense at the time. And now they're back to doing twin magic. When, yes, we get it, back in the day, they looked very, very similar to each other, and it worked. Now, not so much. It's very clear that the two of them physically look different in many different ways. Like Nikki's a bigger build than Brie, and I don't know why they're actually going for that there and having the referee actually fall for it. It just came off dumb in this case. So hopefully they'll do something better. I'm just saying hopefully on that one, because I don't think they can. This week's was a bad one for that, and otherwise, relatively okay match between Paige and Nikki. It wasn't overly bad. I mean, I guess this could set up something where they're going to have a, heel Nikki Bella going up against face Paige down the road. But the way they started off this week was just, it was dumb. It made no sense again, and you wish they would have done something better here. So basically, what was it? Oh yeah, I almost forgot about. I don't know why I almost forgot, but the Ryback area. They of course had Ryback come out there. He was going to have his first Intercontinental title match. It was going to be against Miz, and they're trying to build up Ryback into probably even a bigger. Bigger threat, or for something down the road, maybe for the title or the main title or something in there. So this is where they have to insert Big Show, because apparently he helps build everybody. Actually, in this case, it's probably not so bad of an idea of having Big Show go up against Ryback, just because when Ryback can try to show a feat of strength inside of a match, having that aspect of having Big Show being the size that he is and weight content as he is at the moment, even at whether it's at 440 pounds or 500 pounds, wherever he's at this point in time, it makes it look a lot more impressive, and it can help build him in this case. So it's actually not a bad thing to have him go up against Big Show. I think it's also been a while since they've done. No, it hasn't been that long since they've done Ryback and Big Show, but they haven't had a full-on blown storyline, because Big Show had been mostly working with Roman Reigns up until at this point. So, in the end, it might not be so bad in this case, but it's that stereotypical let's insert Big Show here to put over this guy type situation, and we'll see where it actually goes. And it wasn't, like I said, this week's wasn't that bad. I like the short promo that they gave from that Big Show gave to Ryback. The two of them staring down. They actually did a relatively good job here. It wasn't overly bad in any way, shape, or form. This will bring me to the Kevin Owens John Cena promo. What can you say other than that was just great. It was a great way of Cena putting over Owens putting himself over and talking about what he did, and the whole aspect that he threw his family inside there and everything. I really liked this promo between the two of them. They came off both exactly where they needed to go, and setting up the second match between the two of them at the Money in the Bank special. There's not much more that you can say other than great promo, both sides in this case. Both of them were enjoyable. Both of them kept you kind of, I wouldn't say on the edge of your seat, but they kept you engaged throughout the entire thing and setting up for what's going to be their second match, and how they're going to go, and how they're going to decide to go with that storyline down the road will be another interesting one. Then they set it up later that night that, on SmackDown, he's going to do what basically John Cena been doing, so he's going to put the NXT title up in an open challenge. I kind of like where they're going with this. They've kept that aspect of Kevin Owens being brash and arrogant the entire time, and they've done a really, really good job of that, of him basically saying stuff to get under John Cena's skin for the sake of doing it. It came off really well this week. Again, they've done a really good job with the two of them. And this brings me to them setting up the ladder match for Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins at the pay-per-view itself. Them starting off the show with this was actually, it wasn't a bad idea. And I actually kind of like the idea, especially since it set up the whole aspect of what they were doing with Roman Reigns later that night. Having Roman Reigns come out there, I even like the aspect that he says, Dean Ambrose isn't going to show up until he gets another match in there. That was a nice little touch that they threw in there into the promo area. And how Seth Rollins reacted to all of that is basically what they've been trying to convey. It's like Seth Rollins is a hot-headed type guy, and he will It's like he's really good and really smart with everything, but he can be very hot-headed and let his emotions get the best of him, which, of course, that's how they make it work here. His emotions got the best of him and accepts a ladder match with Dean Ambrose, which eventually, of course, did lead to Dean Ambrose saving Roman Reigns at the end of the night. So, in the sense, they didn't do too much. They just set up the ladder match, and you got somewhat of a promo from Seth Rollins in there. And you got the save at the end of the night. You didn't really get much in the terms of substance after that for that particular program, but it was at least a decent setup into the ladder match at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So overall, they had some down points to the show. Like I was making mention, the Divas program I did not really care for, especially how they decided to go with everything. And the other participants towards the Money in the Bank ladder match, I didn't think they really did a good enough job building their aspects into it, but they did a really good job with building Roman Reigns' aspects to the Money in the Bank ladder match. So hopefully next week they can do a better job with Dolph Ziggler, Kofi Kingston, Sheamus, and Randy Orton and Neville as well. And we'll see where they can continue on the building for all their other programs going into the Money in the Bank pay-per-view itself. So that is my review this week for WWE Monday Night Raw, and I thank you guys for watching.